Hi beauties. It honestly feels like it has been probably about 2 months since I've sat down and vlogged, and that's probably about right. Since I've missed so many Foster Fridays, I wanted to take some time while the kids are napping and everything is quiet and Chris is here to keep an eye on things, and I can escape down here and talk to you guys about our newest placement because there's a lot to talk about. So I wrote some notes on here, and first I just wanted to kind of explain the absence and what was going on. There wasn't any like crazy ulterior motive. It was really just that we had a new placement. It was a very big transition for everybody, and at the end of the day when the kids went to sleep, I didn't have any energy left for anything else, and I didn't really have any free time to edit and film and stuff like that, and I just needed to focus all my attention on family. Like, family comes first. So I didn't mean to like leave you guys hanging in the lurch. If you follow me on other social media platforms, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Those are probably the two that I'm most active on. You'll see that I've still been around. I just haven't had time to edit videos for YouTube. So let me tell you about what is going on with our new placements. So those of you that remember Baby John, we love Baby John. He left us at the end of October. He went to live with family, and if you're wondering, we have not seen him since. And I kind of knew that that was going to be the case because his whole family very much saw, you know, DHS and Child Protective Services as the enemy, and we were lumped in with that. And so it didn't really matter how well we took care of him, or really it didn't matter. Didn't matter anything. We were seen as kind of the enemy, and once the family was able to kind of get him back into family, they didn't really want anything to do with us. So we haven't seen him, and we just hope that he's doing okay, and that's been tough. We really loved him and we miss him a lot. So about a month later, it was Thanksgiving Eve. It's not a thing, but it was the day before Thanksgiving, and we got a call from the placement desk. And that's always kind of like a crazy moment when you see that number come up on the caller ID. And so I went back to the room, and Chris was like, he was planning Thanksgiving, and so I went to our bedroom with a pad of paper and answered the phone, and she said, "Hi Carla, I want to talk to you about some sibling groups that we like desperately need to place." And I said, "Okay." So for some reason, since we said yes to one sibling group, like our first time out, their very first placement, they see us as like the go-to for sibling groups now. And I'll probably talk about that in later vlogs, but in this instance, she just had some sibling groups that she wanted to tell me about. And some of them that I knew right off the bat would not be a very good fit for our family, just because we didn't have the skill set or the ages. Were just so young that I wouldn't be able to give them enough attention because they were suffering from severe neglect. So two of the sibling groups I said no to right off the bat. And it's really hard to say no, but I do it from a place not of I don't want to deal with that, but that I am not gonna be able to serve them in the way that they need to be served. And they need to go to a home that can give them the energy for that, and I just hope that's what happened. But I knew that they wouldn't get that from us. So the sibling group that we ended up saying yes to was not what I expected to say yes to at the beginning of the conversation. Okay, so this is what we were told. There is a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old set of brothers, and they've been in the care of the foster care system for, I think at that point, like 3 or 4 months. So the caseworker knew them. She was very familiar with them. Being 6 and 7, they're in 1st and 2nd grade. She's had reports from teachers and from the people that were currently caring for them that there were no behavioral issues, that the boys were really great, and that the reason why they were being moved is because the current home that they were in had issues with their certification. So they needed to be moved, not because of the boys, but just because of the family. The family that was providing care could no longer provide care for them. Okay, so I kind of thought of it in my brain. I was like, how in the world would we do a 6 and a 7-year-old boy? And then it kind of clicked very quickly. For safety reasons, I'm always very selective of who I put in with William, just because he can't really talk yet. He can't advocate for himself. And so I don't like to put older children in his room. him and baby John shared a room, but that's because they were both babies. But I was like, in this instance, it would actually work really great to move William into Hannah's room. They both take naps. Honestly, they're on a fairly similar schedule. If Hannah doesn't take a nap, she has quiet time about the same time William naps, and they get along really well. Like this, I think, would work pretty good. And then William's room would be empty, and we could get bunk beds for the boys, and like, I think it might work. So I said yes, because there wasn't any behavioral issues. You know, teachers all said they were great kids, and so I said, let me talk to my husband. Chris said yes. He said, if it sounds like good to you and you think we should say yes, let's say yes. And so I did. So because it wasn't an emergency situation that the boys had to be transferred that day, and because the caseworker had a training that she was going to and she really wanted to be there to transition the boys, we waited just over a week to transition them, which is very rare, I think, to have that much heads up that, you know, a child's going to come into your care. Usually it's, you know, an hour or two, and this time it was nearly 10 days. So it was great because it gave us a lot of time to make all those transitions. So one of the very first things we did was move William into Hannah's room so that they could get used to, you know, sharing a room, and he could get used to falling asleep in Hannah's room, and Hannah could get used to kind of being quiet if William was already asleep. And it just worked out beautifully. It really did. It worked out beautifully. So William had about a week of being in Hannah's room under his belt before the boys even came into the house. And then we had a week to get bunk beds for them, mattresses, all new bedding, move all of William's, you know, toys and stuff into Hannah's room and set the boys up in kind of like a nice room. Empty out the dresser, empty out the closet, and just really kind of prepare everybody and talk to everybody and make sure that Hannah, especially because Hannah understands what's going on, Hannah understood kind of who was coming into the house and how that was going to affect her life and schedule. So she was very excited about it. And I was a little nervous, I guess, because when you have that much time to think about it, you're like, what did I just say yes to? Like a first and second grader, we're gonna have to deal with school and homework, and this is gonna be a huge undertaking. And it was, honestly it was. So those of you that have watched my previous Foster Care Friday videos, you will know that it's important to me not to divulge too much about the kids, not to tell you kind of like why they came into care, not to tell specifics of any like abuse or neglect that they suffered, because I feel like that's not my story to tell. I want to make these videos from the perspective of the foster parent and what it's kind of like for me and my family. So I want to keep that in mind when I talk about the first month struggles and kind of an overview of how that transition went, because it was really tough. It was tough on everybody. Transitioning to a new home for kids is just, think of how scary that must be, honestly, to move in with strangers and not know what to expect and have a whole new set of rules and expectations. And really, when you come from, you know, neglect and abuse and just dysfunction, and then you move into a family, which I like to think is a pretty functional family, with, you know, structure and a schedule and expectations, for them, it's like learning a whole new language, and it's going to be a bumpy road. So it's going to take a while to get them used to what is appropriate and what's what's functional, appropriate behavior, and to get out of that mindset of the dysfunction that they came from. So we realized very quickly on that there was some behavioral issues. Thankfully, it's not, they're not violent. They're so good with Hannah and William. William loves them. And I think it was very poignant. The first time we took them to church, it was the children's message, and which is just kind of a nice little time where before the sermon, before they have to like sit still forever, they get to go up to the front and the pastor just talks to the little kids. And so Hannah runs up there because she loves doing that, and the boys kind of like tentatively walked up there and they sit down. They kind of followed Hannah's lead. And William, who doesn't usually go up because he's little, he was very eager to go up too. He wanted to be included. And he ran right up there and sat in the 6-year-old's lap. and was just, and like listened to the pastor. And so William has attached very quickly to them, and just looks at them like big brothers, and they are very protective of him, and they let me know when he, if he's like climbing up on their bunk bed or anything like that, they let me know. And so that was very encouraging. That's not the kind of behavior issues that they have. So, that's really good, because from a safety concern of my biological children, I want to always, of course, make sure that they're safe. So it's not an anger or violence type of behavior. It's really just not understanding rules and boundaries, and because there were never any consequences, that follow through was never expected of them. So they'll often start things and never finish them, or I think they have some anger towards their mom, and so that has I've kind of become a surrogate, obviously, mom, and so that has transferred onto me. So there's a lot of disrespect towards me that we're really struggling with right now. They've been in weekly therapy before they even came into our care. That was started way back when they first came into foster care, and so we continue to go to therapy with them once a week and kind of work on that family dynamic, and either Chris or I go with them. And this week I'm going to go with them, and we're going to talk about respect. So as a mom, that part has honestly been really tough. I feel like I've been on the receiving end of kind of a lot of disrespect, and that's hard. It's really hard. So that's kind of been just emotionally tough to deal with. And I know that it doesn't come from a place of like hatred or anything like that. It's just honestly, it's pretty much par for the course given what they've gone through. So I don't hold it against them. I just want to help them work through it. So we now have a first grader and a second grader, and it was kind of weird because we had maybe like 2 weeks with them, and then it was Christmas break, and they stopped going to school, obviously, and they were home for like 2.5 weeks. And so we went from, being total strangers to kind of seeing them half the time because they were in school so much, and then spending, 2.5 weeks at the home kind of just all up in each other's face, and we're still not really knowing how to relate to each other or respect each other, and being on completely different schedules. And so that was really hard. Winter break was really tough. And it was tough when Chris was at work because I would be home with 4 kids, and 4 kids that are learning how to bond with each other, learning how to get acclimated to this new home and in this new situation. So winter break was really, really tough. The last week of winter break, Chris and I finally realized that we needed a schedule, and they needed to know what the expectation was at any given time, where they needed to be, helping out with chores or doing homework. Over winter break, I just got some workbooks, and we worked on kind of catching up in some skill areas and some, like math and reading, or if they were allowed to do free time, whatever it was, they needed to know what the expectation was for them, which was great, and it ended up working out really well for everybody. So now we have a very detailed schedule. It's hanging up in their room. Monday through Friday is pretty similar, and then Saturday and Sunday are kind of their own. They have special little schedules. So that has worked out so wonderfully, and it has been a huge tool for success in this house. We're also going to start doing a behavioral clipboard where if they have a really good day and they get to move their clip up and they're working towards a goal, Chris really wants to take them to a movie. So that is what they are working towards right now, and everyone's very excited about that. I don't know which movie we're going to go see. Probably maybe Paddington. I don't know if we can talk them into going and seeing Paddington. I know Hannah would really like it, and the 6-year-old would probably like it too. Anyways, then we also transitioned them to their new school, new teachers. There was a lot of anxiety around that, but I think it was also really nice for them to have a fresh start. One of the children is very ahead. I would consider him to be ahead academically, and the other one is very much behind. So I'm learning the ropes of this whole new world of IEPs, individual education plans. I think the I stand individualized education plans. Just trying to get him the services and support that he needs in order to catch up and flourish in school and, have some academic success. So that is a whole new world to me. Moms that have gone through the IEP process know, it's can be really kind of overwhelming. But I'm glad that he is in a home where academics are important, and I am willing to go to bat and be an advocate for him, and I want to get that in place. So the IEP process has started for him, and everyone else, I think, really, honestly, I really think we're kind of starting to find our footing, and everything is starting to kind of level out, and we're just going to start focusing on respect and, you know, the golden rule, treating each other how we want to be treated. So anyways, that's kind of an overview of our first month, the struggles, and kind of life with our new placement. The 7-year-old, he's almost 8. We're going to refer to him as C, and the 6-year-old we're going to refer to as A. Just kind of keep him clear. So basically in my house right now, I have an almost 2-year-old boy, a 4-year-old girl, both of those are my biological children, a 6-year-old boy, and an almost 8-year-old boy. So Hannah and I are crazy outnumbered right now. Even the dogs are boys. So it's just me, Hannah, and a kitty cat that are girls. If you have any questions regarding foster care or anything like that, feel free to leave them down below and I'll try to answer your questions. Thank you so much for being patient with me while I took a step back from YouTube and really focused on the family. I think maybe after watching this video, you can understand why I needed to do that. And yeah, I guess if you have questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, feel free to leave them down below and I will try to either address them in the comments section or address them in a future Foster Care Friday. I have some other vlogs that I plan on filming, getting you kind of caught up on life as it is, and I look forward to talking to you more often. If you are active on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, feel free to check out my social media links below so that we can stay in touch even if I need to step back again, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay, bye. Pretty much. You want to look? Ready?